Nurse, scalpel.
Scalpel.
Clamp.
Clamp.
Oh, damn it. Damn it, man. More anesthesia. More anesthesia.
We don't have anything left, Doc.
Then turn on the local news, man. Turn on the news.
I told them that my favorite word was sprocket. And a little kid said he liked the word rocket. And a little girl said that rhymes with my locket. Well, within 90 seconds, we came up with, I had a sprocket in my pocket. I locked it in the locket.
Doc, you're a genius.
Works every time.
If you can't sleep, watch the local television news. If you want the real news, it's the No BS News Hour with Charlie LeDuff.
Live from downtown Detroit, it's the No Bullshit News Hour with my main man, Charlie LeDuff. And Karen Dumas.
The bullshit!
What's just in breaking news? No more bullshit! No more bullshit!
I'm Grace Karros, and I'm third generation of American Coney Island. People say Detroit's a comeback city. I say, where you been? We've been here for over 100 years. My family's been here on the same corner, serving our famous proprietary American Coney Island hot dog. So like always, we're keeping things fresh, updated, and new. We'd love to have you come downtown and visit us, but if you can't, you can always go to AmericanConeyIsland.com, order a Coney kit, get it delivered fresh right to your door.
This message of uplift is brought to you by business and personal wealth advisor Luke Nowacki, who reminds you that what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but never enter the kingdom of God? But while you're waiting, Nowacki wants you to remember that overreaction is not a sound financial strategy. So call Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748 for sound financial advice.
Hall Financial is putting more money in your pocket with our exclusive no-fee home loan. That's right, you pay no fees to Hall Financial. So in addition to our nearly 6,000 five-star reviews and our average 9-day turn time from application to close, you now pay no fees to Hall Financial. This is going to save you up to $2,500 in fees that you'd normally pay to the other guys. Start saving now, 866-CALL-HALL, or chat with us at callhallfirst.com.
Ooh, big program tonight, Karen.
I know.
Tell them who's sitting in the virtual green room.
No, I don't want to, Charlie.
I'll just call the T's, Karen. It's the business.
Okay, all right.
Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. I've been dying to talk to this guy since everybody was dying in our nursing homes and bullshitting about it. Now we got the godfather of COVID.
That's huge, Charlie. Congratulations.
Well, yeah, congratulations. It's just Andrew Cuomo. He doesn't bite.
It's Chris's brother.
Or
right?
maybe he did. We'll get to all. Yeah, it's Chris's brother.
Okay, we're gonna call him that.
We'll get to all. Stop it. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Yes, it's so that's called the tease. I wanted to do this first. I want to get to what's bullshit in the news.
The No BS News Hour presents What's Bullshit in the News?
What's bullshit in the news? I'll tell you what's bullshit in the news. A G-man I know who was responsible for putting former Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick behind bars for bilking the city of Detroit told me that his people told him that Kilpatrick was house hunting in a posh suburb in the Detroit area now and had even put down a deposit on an $850,000 McMansion. I think the guy still owes $1.5 million in restitution, the G-man told me. Internet preaching must pay pretty good. When I reached Kilpatrick by telephone, he indeed confirmed that he may be on his way back to Michigan, but Kilpatrick said he's not buying, he can't afford a house, but he's looking to rent, but he can't afford the rent because the rent's too damn high in a state where everybody's leaving. Maybe we'll be back in early spring when I'm released from federal supervision. Kilpatrick told me, we're definitely thinking about it, but can you do me a favor? Don't tell people where we're looking. That's what's bullshit in the news. You know what else bullshit in the news? Politicians on the take. That's bullshit. State Attorney General Dana Nessel's at it again. It seems that Madam Nessel threw a hissy fit after a state senator called her out for accepting grotesquely expensive holiday junkets to the Caribbean islands of Turks and Caicos. Hearing of this, Nessel demanded an apology, insisting that she paid her own freight for the $8,600 a night penthouse in Turks and Caicos that she shared earlier this year with her wife, a prominent attorney, and the attorney's partner. Now, you all remember the concierge at the luxurious Ritz-Carlton Resort told me that the tab, which included copious bottles of sweating champagne, was picked up not by Madam Nessel, but rather the law firm of her gal pal. However, the weak-kneed senator apologized anyway. He ought not have. As we all know, Nessel has an estranged relationship with the truth. Rather than browbeat elected officials, Nessel should release her bank statements, which would put an end to the matter. It is, after all, the public's right to know. And we have breaking news. The House Freedom Caucus in Lansing this afternoon filed articles of impeachment against Madam Nessel, including but not limited to her interfering intentionally in the fraud investigation of the state party treasurer for the Democrats, Tracy Kornak, that and failure to pursue fraudulent voter registration applications in Muskegon and on. So there you have it. That's some bullshit. You know what else is bullshit? High-ranking hypocrites. That's who's bullshit. Now, if gall is produced in the gallbladder, then U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow may be in need of an emergency cholecystectomy. So galling and misshapen is her organ of moral outrage. Stabenow, who's retiring from the Senate, tweeted last week that Representative Mike Johnson, the Republican new Speaker of the House of the U.S. Representatives, was, quote, dangerous for America. And I don't know, maybe Johnson is dangerous for America. I, too, am not in favor of higher drug costs, tax cuts for billionaires, offshoring our jobs, or a national abortion ban, as Stabenow claims Johnson is. But you see, the very next day after Stabenow tweeted that, Sam Bankman-Fried was convicted on 7 charges related to the collapse of his crypto empire and faces more than 100 years in prison. Bankman-Fried gave copious piles of other people's money to politicians. Among the biggest recipients was Stabenow, who is in charge of, wait for it, writing laws to regulate the crypto markets. As it turns out, Sammy the Shammy Fraud Bankman made multiple trips to Stabenow's congressional couch and whispered sweet bitcoins into her ear. Is there anything more dangerous than that, I ask you? Now, Stabenow promised to donate the Crypto Creeps political donations to charity. It is unclear whether she has, and she's yet to return my call. That is some bullshit. You know what else is bullshit?
What the fuck's going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. Radical representatives representing no one but themselves. That's some bullshit. Now, Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib became just the 26th congressperson in the history of the United States to be censured for her rhetoric about the Israel-Hamas war. Let's cue the tears.
We are human beings, just like anyone else. My city, my grandmother.
And she's good at that. Now, listen, I don't think she should have been censured. That's freedom of speech, even though, you know, you're doing it in the people's building, you're not thinking stuff out. But Tlaib has embraced the phrase "from the river to the sea," a Palestinian rally cry that everybody knows is a call for the eradication of Israel. Fine, okay, but back here in her district in Detroit, one of the poorest in the United States, citizens are fuming that absentee Rashida seems more interested in the West Bank than the West Side. Let's cue the outrage.
Hey, bitch, my rent is high. Lower my rent. Give me some more money for some food or something. I'm so mad about that. I'm really getting heated. I can barely afford to get some food for groceries. I got a pack of eggs. Them was $6. That's ridiculous. Everything is going up and they trying to crack down on certain stuff, but y'all not crack down on what need to be cracked down on.
That's some bullshit. You know what else is bullshit? Pampered and self-important punks. That's who's bullshit. Now, hey everybody, it's Native American Heritage Month. So, will somebody tell the privileged snot-noses in Harvard Yard who are protesting the Israeli occupation of Palestine and harassing Jewish students that Massachusetts is Indian country? In fact, most of the United States territory is still disputed by Native peoples. At least 15 major treaties with American Indians and their descendants have been broken, trodden upon, or ignored, and that's according to the United States Indian Claims Commission. That means lands where college students are currently standing are stolen. The original occupants slaughtered. So somebody please tell the entitled college kids that they are occupiers. This is an ancient history. Native people were still here. If proof be needed, these elitists only need to look up at the Massachusetts state flag. There in the field stands a Native American with a colonial saber dangling over his head. The history of this country, when it comes to its indigenous peoples, is a shameful one. We can say that. That's the truth. And that's worth peeling your lips from the bong and getting up and taking a class, kids. Now, nobody knows this history better than Senator Elizabeth Warren, the Native American Cherokee who represents the old colony state in the Senate. Oh, yeah. Never mind. And that's what's bullshit in the news. We'll be back with Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York after these commercial messages. Well, you know, when it rains, the power goes out. And when the power goes out, the internet goes out. When the internet goes out, I call my friend Matt and Bernie at XG Service Group. Look at Bernie here on his hands and knees, giving it everything he's got. Look at that man crack. So busy, he forgot to wear a belt. There's Matt right there getting the board together. That's 734-245-4100 if you need Matt and Bernie to come take care of your voice over internet, your security cameras, off-campus access control, Wi-Fi, and cameras for homes and business. They'll design it for you. You got restaurants, they do drive-through systems, railroad cameras for public safety, total wireless camera systems for your home and business. Yeah, that's right. Call XG Services at 734-245-4100. ADR Consultants, experienced overseeing more than $250 million in public and construction projects since the turn of the century. They're competent. If you want to reduce your costs and increase your bottom line, you want to cut the red tape, you're going to need somebody that knows how to navigate it. That would be ADR Consultants in procurement and government compliance and information technology. ADR, smart, get the job done right, on time, on budget. 248-318-9424. Call Barry Ellentuck for a free consultation. Okay, and finally, this is a nice segue into New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. This is Legacy Partners Insurance. Y'all know how you can save on your own, but here's something to write down. Write this down. Medicare enrollment is currently open and the window closes 64. Everybody that's retired, that's on Medicare, you can get your plan, get a new plan. The window closes on December 7th. There are many large call centers, cold calls. Those aren't legal. There's stuff on TV, right? They're not legally allowed to call you. Don't do that. There's a lot of misinformation and people looking to get into either you or your parents' or grandparents' pockets. So call Legacy Partner. They're different. They offer one-on-one concierge experience. Most people will have 20 or more options and should be working with someone who can pick what's right for them, ensuring access to your doctor that you currently have that you like, making sure you're covered if you travel during the winter, right? And making sure that you can afford the out-of-pocket costs. It's a lot of stuff. The consultation is free, and their assistance with enrollment is free, right? Because you're not paying it. Medicare enrollment is just one of your personal insurance needs that Legacy can take care of. Call to find out the right Medicare option for you or your parents. You can go to Legacy Partners INS, that's short for insurance, legacypartnersins.com, or call 888-970-2940. I don't want to belabor it, but I will say this. I ask my mom every year to call these guys. We all here trust them with our personal belongings in life. My mom being an old lady, I don't know, I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I'm very happy with it. She, you know how old people are. She just won't do it. But I continue to Mom, just let them. Mom,
You have to reassure Charlie.
I know.
That's all.
It's not my best
Trait.
here.
I know it's not.
Oh, Charlie.
All right. Now, what we've all been waiting for. Can I see him on the board here? Yeah, he's looking pretty good there. He's looking presidential. He's wearing the blue blazer. For all you listening out there, he's wearing blue Oxford, blue blazer. He's got one of those embedded libraries with some photographs. What's in the photographs, Andrew? What do you got back there? What's your favorite?
You have a whole collection back there. You have my daughters. You have my father. None of my brother, Charlie, but
You two, you and Chris are like the Manning brothers, man. It's funny. Okay, look, Andrew, you got run out, you got hashtagged out of the governor's seat in New York. Your main aide, Melissa DeRosa, has a book out now to explain what was going on there. And the name of the book, if we can put it up there, is What's Left Unsaid. I guess, brother, give us the Cliff Notes. What's left unsaid?
Charlie, I think the book is fascinating because it really is a metaphor for what's going on in this country right now. It is cancel culture on steroids. It's politicians playing politics and misusing government and misusing the justice system to advance their own political agenda. She also goes through COVID and what really happened in COVID, because as you said earlier on, New York was ground zero on COVID. So it really calls BS on the whole system as a specific metaphor. And I think it makes your point on a very specific basis, what happened in New York. But what happened in New York is a microcosm of what's going on in this country.
Absolutely.
So do you feel like you were a victim of all those things, sir? I mean,
or the victimizer.
Or the victimizer.
Well, victim. I don't play a victim role. You had cancel culture on steroids. You had a weaponization of cancel culture for individuals' political gain, right? We had the Attorney General who did the investigation. The Attorney General was a possible opponent of mine in the next gubernatorial election, which is a pure conflict of interest. And cancel culture gets so extreme where everyday social interactions then became quote unquote cancel culture fodder. You kiss somebody on the cheek. Oh, that's cancel culture. Take a picture with someone and you put your hand on their back. Oh, that's cancel culture. So it's the worst of the cancel culture woke movement, I think, and it was used as a political weapon. And it serves nobody, because once everything becomes sexual harassment, then nothing is sexual harassment, right? And once you trivialize and politicize these claims, then you really miss the point, because sexual harassment is a major problem still today. I passed the strongest sexual harassment law in the United States of America. But you politicize it, you weaponize it, then when a real case comes along, people say, oh, that's just more politics. It's more just another person trying to get some money damages.
Well, not to move your wheelbarrow for you. Okay, so DeRosa's out doing her book tour, and some of the past accusers are firing back there. All of this stuff, this happened to you in the middle of the Me Too movement, right? I mean, you and Weinstein are not in the same universe in this kind of thing. And all of this stuff happened before the Weinstein stuff broke. But like you said, the kiss on the cheek, the hands on the face, the touching of the chest, the rubbing of the stomach, you can't do that, right? I mean, you could probably go like this. I apologize you want to apologize, I guess?
Look, there's no distinction, Charlie, right? Did I kiss people on the cheek? Yes. By the way, I asked the woman, may I kiss you on the cheek? I kissed her on the cheek at a wedding. I'm in politics, right? You take a picture with someone. You get these, Chris Rock and these guys, when they go to take a picture, they put their hands up like a stick up in a Western, These are everyday interactions that I had. The serious ones were all dismissed. They went to 5 district attorneys, Democrats, Republicans, not a single case, Charlie.
So what you're saying is you were never charged for anything?
I was never charged for anything. No. And I've never been found to have violated anything, right? It's not about the law anymore. It's about what any person's personal opinion is as to what's appropriate. And that's chaos. And that's not even the law. There's something called the sexual harassment law that lays out a standard of what is sexual harassment. But this is a different plane. This is if any person thought a behavior was inappropriate, then because it was that person's opinion, it is inappropriate. And it's not legal. It's also not sustainable. You can have your own opinion about what's appropriate behavior and what's appropriate language. But your personal opinion, Charlie, does not become the law, right?
Yep. Well, I'll tell you this. It was the hometown paper. You're a Democrat. It was the New York Times. I spent many years at the New York Times. I knew the people writing the stories, right? And we talk. And I'm just being honest. I pick no side here, but I'm like, okay, the loutish behavior. Kiss the face. Oh, geez. But I don't think it added up to much. But it started snowballing, and I'm just going to tell you, you got to know. I'm like, with those guys at the Times, I was like, the over-under here is 8. If it gets to 8, the guy's gone. And it got to 11, so, I had 3 to spare.
Yeah, but here, it was never 11. It was never 11. It was a fabricated 11 because what the Attorney General did was just manipulate the media. She knew very well. If you get the number high enough, then there'll be spontaneous combustion in the political process. So the report said 11 violations. That was a lie. Your show, No BS. That was a lie. And if anybody ever read the report, they would see that there were no 11. But the headline of 11, within 27 seconds, you now have Twitter light up with every Democrat who wants to show that they are protective of women's rights, which is a good thing. Every Democrat says, oh, you have to resign. There were 11 cases. President of the United States says within hours, I haven't read the report, but he should resign.
Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Your friend.
He is President of the United States.
Your friend, Joe Biden.
Yes. Because that's how intense.
How do you know wait a minute. Well, how do you know he's the President of the United States? Half the time he doesn't know he's the President of the United States.
But aren't some of those things that Joe Biden has? I mean, if you're on social media, you see where he has touched people that others interpret as inappropriate, or he's, he's done some stuff that's very creepy. So it almost seems kind of hypocritical for him to take that stance with you.
No, Karen, it's even worse. The original complainant against me was represented by a law firm, which I believe was part of the fabrication of the situation. The same law firm represented a woman named Tara Reid, who accused Joe Biden of actually touching her genitalia in the Senate, right? And then you had with Joe Biden another 9 women who came forward and who said he did this creepy, he did this creepy. So he knew the issue very well. And if there was anyone who should have said, you know what, let's take a deep breath here before we just rush to judgment, because I went through this, and let's read the report at least, it would have been Joe Biden. He did the exact opposite thing, which was political expediency. See, he said, Karen, because I went through this with Tara Reid, I have to show that I'm very strong and resolute, rather than saying, let me be the responsible party here. Because if you read the report, there were no 11. If you read the report, there was 1 or 2 cases that were possibly colorable on their face. And when you looked into those, they collapsed also. So it's the worst example of the politics of our day, right? And the New York Times put something on the front page, and Charlie knows the power of the New York Times still, and they're going to set the bar. And on their front page, they put a picture of me with, I had presided over a wedding. There was a woman in the bridal party. They bring her over, say hello to the bridesmaid. I touched her face. I said, oh, can I give you a kiss on the cheek? I give her a kiss on the cheek. That's the front page of the New York Times.
I guess as a woman, and I've taken some heat for this, I guess if somebody were to do or say something to me that I found offensive, I would simply say, hey, like I told Charlie the day when we saw each other downstairs, we greeted each other, he kissed me on the cheek and he went on. That's not sexual harassment to me, but if I didn't like it.
I'm sorry.
What?
I apologize.
Oh, you apologize? No, but if I felt like that, if that was wrong or I was uncomfortable with it, I'd say, Charlie, don't do that. I don't like it. And then I'd move on. Like, I'm not going to go and say, oh, Charlie kissed me on the cheek. And that's I guess I don't understand the whole not speaking up and putting an end to it as opposed to trying to exploit it for any type of either financial or political gain.
Power.
Yeah,
power.
Because
whatever.
Karen, you're being rational. See, and this had nothing to do with rationality, because the law says just what you said. It's sexual harassment has a legal definition. It's gender discrimination. It's more than a petty slight or a trivial inconvenience, right? I literally said to the woman, may I kiss you on the cheek? If you don't want me to kiss you on the cheek, say no, because that's why I'm asking you if it's okay if I kiss you on the cheek. But you're right. If you're uncomfortable with someone's behavior, you say something.
Say so.
Let me make this pivot then now, okay? Because with all due respect to the women,
right?
Fine, your story and how you see things, how you see it, and respect to that. But I can give you what was going on with the media, Andrew and Karen, as I saw it. This all started, Andrew's boorish behavior, bully, right? Didn't start with a woman. It started with a man. It started with a representative, state rep from Flushing, Queens, Kim, I remember. What's his first name, man? Arnold?
Ronald Kim.
Okay, Ronald Kim. When the stories were breaking about miscounts in the nursing home deaths, because remember, Andrew was the national hero. He was the de facto world leader in COVID, the rational guy, the guy that won the Emmy, the guy that everybody tuned into the press conference because we didn't have anything else to do.
And we took notes from.
Right, and took notes, and we needed a rational voice to get us through a scary time.
Right.
That starts coming out. He makes a phone call Kim comes on and goes, man, he browbeat me, he bullied me. And then it starts coming. The media picked up on this because the media were slavish to you, Andrew. You know, you sat there and watched them. Whatever you said, they wrote down. And when it comes around that what you were telling them that they felt you had told them wasn't true, they're going to take you out. And that is how I saw it. That's what they did. They couldn't do COVID, right? Because that would mean, just like the Trump hoax and all of this stuff, they were part and parcel of it. They couldn't admit that they were wrong, so they had to find something else, and that was convenient. Am I wrong?
Look, don't get me started on the media, because
no, go.
Yeah, look, the media, reporters, we have partisan stenographers is what we have right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You tune into conservative TV, you tune into liberal TV, and they are stenographers. They don't ask questions, they don't investigate, there are no facts. They are literally stenographers. And that's not the journalism I grew up with. That's not the journalism that the people of this country trust anymore. You don't know who's giving you the facts. What we just went through with Fox and their lawsuit, where they admitted they lied because they were afraid of their market share. Well, the same thing is true for Fox, is true on the other side of the aisle also. They're trying to attract their clicks and their tweets. And I think they are partisan, and I think they are stenographers. The nursing homes became a hot political topic, is what happened. Like anything else, it became politicized. It started with Mr. Trump, who literally needed to blame someone for COVID, which was his own, I think, downfall in this situation, because he shouldn't have tried to blame anyone because the buck stopped on his desk, but he had to blame someone. And he came up with the theory that it was the Democratic governors in Democratic states who mishandled nursing homes. And to fuel the conspiracy, they undercounted how many people died in nursing homes. And that was his answer for COVID. And that became the political feeding frenzy. And the Republicans ate it up. And my far left enemies seized on to it also. So I had the far left enemies grab that conspiracy as well as the Republicans.
Well, we know this. Let me see if I can make this concise. In late March, you're worried about the hospital system being overwhelmed. How many hospital beds did you have in New York? About 150 grand, if memory serves.
52,000 hospital beds.
52,000. Okay, 52,000. And you were afraid like we could have triple the amount of patients with COVID that needed to be in there. So you in late March said if nursing homes are able to take infected people into the building and keep it separate from uninfected people, do so. Correct so far?
Yes.
Okay. The nursing homes were supposed to count who died. The hospitals are supposed to count who died. And then in May, the Fed said the federally funded nursing homes, which are different, there are legal differentiation between assisted living and all this. You got to start counting the dead. At that same time, you stopped the practice, right? If I recall, like early May, you go like, okay, stop, man. It's not working. The nursing homes can't keep it separate, right? Bad on me. I tried it. It didn't work. Stop. Is this right so far?
Close enough.
Okay. But even then, after May, when the feds told the hospitals and the nursing homes to keep track of the origin of the patient, they didn't do it correctly. And the study shows that the state of New York was in fact keeping these statistics, but weren't leveling with the public. So did you, after May, did your people, I know you weren't counting, did your staff, your administration, those below you, not level with the people.
Yeah. Let's take a step back.
Okay.
Because you want to talk about BS. The whole COVID situation was BS. Everybody had it wrong, right? COVID starts. It went from China to California to the state of Washington. Everyone's looking to the West. The president is saying it's going to be gone by Easter, drink Clorox, all sorts of lunacy. COVID had left China, had gone to Europe, was in Italy, and was landing in New York for months, and nobody knew it. When we find out, Charlie, that we actually have COVID, it's all throughout the state because it had been coming for months. And the World Health Organization and the CDC and HHS and NIH, they all blew it, which is scary because there's going to be another COVID. And we better get our act together before it happens again, because it is going to happen again. Just like we had Ebola and Dengue and Zika, you're going to have another one, and you better not blow it the way you did the first one. We have 52,000 hospital beds. They told me we would need 150,000 hospital beds at the rate of infection. And having a hospital bed could make the difference between life or death. You needed a ventilator. We're watching on the television. Italy had the hospital system overwhelmed. People are dying in hallways. We had a hospital in New York City, overwhelmed. People couldn't get in. So everything was getting the infection rate down. So fewer people got sick. So fewer people needed to go into the hospitals. And one of the provisions that were undertaken was a provision that said, if, exactly as you said, if the nursing home can handle a person safely, quarantine in a way that they don't infect other people, and you can free up a hospital bed, free up the hospital bed, because the hospital beds are precious. I'm building thousands of emergency hospital beds all over the state. 2 months later, what happens is we now know we're not going to overcome the hospital capacity. We had additional hospitals, and we said aborted that policy about having the COVID people return to the nursing homes. But Trump is in full conspiracy mode, okay? And he goes to the Republican National Convention and he says, this is what happened to COVID. The Democratic governors in the Democratic states blew the handling of nursing homes and then lied about it. They start a federal investigation on the counting of deaths in nursing homes. The Department of Justice, a fellow named Jeffrey Clark, and we're now under federal investigation. And Jeffrey Clark, by the way, was a political hack in the Department of Justice, winds up being indicted as part of January 6th with Mr. Trump, okay? So much for the justice system.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah, you're telling me. But this is how arcane and technical it gets. Every day I said, this number of people died in hospitals, this number of people died in nursing homes. I said that every day. That's how we cap the numbers. They then come back and say, after months, please tell us of the number of people who died in hospitals, how many had originally come from nursing homes? And those deaths should be counted as nursing home deaths rather than hospital deaths. And this was part of their conspiracy that we were trying to undercount nursing home deaths. It had nothing to do with the price of tea in China. We were just reporting the numbers this way because this is how we were gathering the information. And they had just fabricated this whole nursing home death scandal conspiracy, and then used to further the conspiracy that somehow we changed the numbers, which we never did.
Well, here, like when they asked you for your data for the public nursing homes, you can play politics. Nursing homes, most of them are privately owned. Very few are publicly funded. Did you turn over only the data for the publicly funded or all of it?
All of the data.
All of it. You know our governor, Whitmer, you know her well, I think. We only turned over the publicly funded nursing home data. We have 450 nursing homes, but only 2 are publicly funded. You're aware of that. We only we played funny here. Yes or no? Just that. Yes or no?
I don't want to comment on how you played, but I know a number of states took the position that the nursing homes are private. They're not state-run. Some are state-run. We have a handful that are state-run. But some states took the position, well, those are private facilities. Go talk to the private facility to get any data you want.
So they hid the numbers.
Well, their position would be, we don't run those nursing homes. You want the numbers, call the nursing home.
That seems funny in the COVID era. I thought all the government was cooperating. Now, number 2, New York was ground zero for this. I mean, New York got whacked, maybe 30,000 deaths the first year and 20,000 the second. The Democratic governors, the states around you, they came to you, right? They copied what you were doing because you were already dealing with it.
Correct.
Caught flat-footed. Let's do what Cuomo's doing in New York, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And you kept track of not only nursing homes, but assisted living, old people apartments. You did all that. That stuff, you can go online and see in New York, correct?
Yes.
So you weren't hiding any of that. Now, you and Whitmer also put out a joint press release when Trump was coming after you, saying the federal response needs to be investigated. Remember this?
Yes.
Okay. Let me play you a clip here. This is well after the fact. You're gone. Everybody else gets to move on. This is a local news program, Fox 2 with Governor Whitmer.
You said you always were in touch with these governors. You would chat with them and ask them questions. Did you happen to talk to other governors about the nursing home situation? And did you talk to Cuomo about it at any point?
I never talked. I mean, didn't have a relationship with him.
True or false?
Well, a relationship is a question of perspective. If she says we didn't have a relationship, we didn't have a relationship.
Did you ever talk?
Well, I'm sure you have a press release that we both did. I'm sure that didn't happen anonymously.
Did you ever talk about nursing homes?
I don't recall specifically what we talked about. Well, that topic of that press release was the nursing homes.
Because in late March, you said, okay, go ahead and commingle, try to keep them separate. A couple weeks later, we do the same. You come out in early May and say, we got to stop the process. At this point, I'm onto it. It's obvious, right? You're watching you. I'm going around collecting bodies with, people had to pick up the dead from the nursing homes. I went with them. It's my job. In early May, you say we got to stop doing. In mid-May, we doubled down on the practice, and we never got an accurate count. We didn't count the assisted living, even with the governor's pen saying you must count them, as New York did. We didn't. And then when we had an audit, said it's 43% higher, just like Andrew Cuomo's number. What the lapdog media here did is the administration pulled them in a room, said the audit is political and it's flawed, never showed them the audit, and they all wrote it before the audit became public. Now, you're sitting there on your ass, and over here, we don't have any accounting, and someone's running a shadow campaign for president of the United States. Your thoughts?
Look, I believe what was done was totally unfair, and it was misleading, and it was deceptive, all across the board. It's not like
you're talking about in general, but also Michigan and how we handled telling the truth.
I don't know how you handled it in Michigan. Frankly.
Okay.
I tried to be as transparent as I could because I wasn't defensive about anything, Charlie. There's nothing that we did, right? I didn't start COVID. We were a victim of COVID. We were a victim And I didn't even blame the president, frankly. It wasn't his job to have a health organization that could determine that the virus had gone from China to Europe and had come from Europe and was landing in New York airports. So I was just giving people the facts the best I knew them and the advice the best I knew it, until it became political and somehow Democratic governors caused the problem in nursing homes, which was just a lot of crap.
But you would say this, I got to get it clear. You would say that in retrospect, and now we can look at, hindsight's 2020, that it wasn't a good idea to commingle in the nursing homes. That you would agree with.
The nursing home problem, we now know what happened in nursing homes. It had nothing to do with the commingling. It had been in there for months. It came in with the staff. It came in with the visitors.
Of course.
That's how it got into nursing homes. And we know that as a matter of fact now, because you can go back and trace it. We had, early on, doctors had a large number of deaths that they were calling pneumonia. It wasn't pneumonia. They identified it as pneumonia because they didn't know that there was such a thing called COVID. That's how it got into nursing homes. And that was nobody's fault. And I don't blame Trump for that,
But you still stopped doing it. You still said, look, man, I mean, it's not good. The public doesn't like it. It's not helpful to commingle people. You're honest. See, you're being honest. And I'm sorry,
Right.
I watched you and I lived here. You were honest about what happened. All right, we're going to stop doing it. We were not. And to this day, the administration here is trying to tell us we never commingled people. We didn't count everybody. The assisted living, the senior apartments, that's at least 50% of the population. We don't even have their addresses. That's what our government says. That kind of shit's got to stop.
Yeah, when we were no longer at risk of overwhelming the hospital system, then we said leave people who are testing positive in hospitals, because we knew we were no longer going to overwhelm the hospital system. We had created other beds, etc.
What's your take on Fauci, looking back at all this?
I think Fauci played politics. I think he was a great civil servant. I think he did a lot of good for a lot of years. I think he was intimidated by Trump. And Trump had a different story every week. And I think Fauci wanted to keep his job. And I think Fauci was intimidated by Trump. That's what I think. I think in the beginning, nobody knew what the heck they were talking about. And I took a different track. If you don't know what you're talking about, you know what? Say you don't know what you're talking about, right? Nobody expects the president of the United States or a governor of a state or anyone to have every answer to this unknown phenomenon that we have never dealt with before, right? Let's say, I would analogize it to a war. President of the United States says we're going to war. He doesn't say it's going to be over by Easter. And by the way, none of our guys are going to get shot because we have special vests. He doesn't know. He doesn't know, but he's honest in saying this is the situation. Trump was never honest with the American people. He made it up and he kept making it up. And there were different versions every time he opened his mouth. And that's where people really got nervous.
See,
because
I think everybody was making it up. I think everybody was making it up because the people aren't stupid. And by the time the end of summer came around, we had a pretty good idea who this was getting. The kids aren't getting sick. And people were called liars or the pandemic of the unvaccinated, right? Karen never got vaccinated.
No, I did not. But this is a thing. That's how politics is played out, unfortunately. People don't want to know the truth. I mean, they don't want to hear it.
Because it was disease in our lives for politics.
But like Andrew just said, I mean, you have to figure it out. And if there wasn't a game plan, he made a decision, saw the decision wasn't working, and pull back on that decision. I mean, it was a figuring it out as you go along. There was not a consistent game plan from Fauci or anybody else. So how do you figure that out? But people don't want to hear that you're figuring it out. And then you become penalized as a result. It also became monetized after a while. Then the dollars start coming and everything, people that they were dying in the hospitals, they were being compensated. So then there's a financial incentive for that. So that to me convolutes the whole conversation and perspective about the pandemic.
And I don't think that it's over. Like people like, oh, let's go, we're moving on. People, it's not a political issue. I think this is going to be this election cycle. Yeah, we're going to go back and take a look at COVID. And Andrew, do you think they took you out because you were a challenge to Biden? And if you were still the governor, would you be running against Biden?
Probably.
Really?
Yep.
Do you think that's why that was part of the mathematics to take you out, that you were too big of a threat in that way?
Well, somebody would have to ask Biden that question, but I would probably be running. I think there should be a primary. I don't think that Joe Biden is the strongest candidate against Donald Trump. I'm worried about the election from the Democrats' point of view. And I think this hope that, Trump is going to lose, that's no way to win a game. You don't bet on the other team messing up, right? You have to play a game where you should win. And this whole strategy of, Trump is going to get indicted, and then, every time you indict the guy, he goes up in the polls.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait, you said something. This strategy of indicting Trump, do you believe, just from your perch, Andrew Cuomo, lifetime in national politics, that this was a coordinated strategy to neutralize Trump?
I don't think it was a coordinated strategy. I think they believe, with all these indictments that he is getting, he is not going to be able to be viable as a candidate. Except the American people don't believe that the indictments aren't political. They believe the justice system is playing politics. The American people believe that. Listen to this, Charlie. The first indictment was in Manhattan County. Manhattan DA named Bragg indicts Donald Trump. This is the first one. This is before Mar-a-Lago, before Georgia, before
the hush money.
Yes. First one. 76% of the American people said it was politically influenced. 76%, majority of Democrats, majority of Republicans. 76% of the American people don't agree on the color of the flag, but 76% of the American people agreed that the indictment was politically influenced, meaning they believe politics has gotten so ugly and government corruption has gotten so bad that we would actually try to indict a person and put him in jail as a political tactic. That's where people are in this country. And that's why indicting him time after time after time, and yes, it looks like there are a majority of the prosecutors are Democrats, and maybe that's not a coincidence, but people just don't trust the justice system. So that's not enough. And I think the Democrats are going to have to be stronger than we are now. And I think Joe Biden should have a Democratic primary. I think it would be good for Joe Biden if he were to win, because he would then have gone through a primary election. He would get up, he would give answers, he'd have to do debates, he'd have to get out of the White House. So yes, I think there should be a primary. If I were governor of New York, I would probably be part of that primary right now.
Should that pass be also given to you? Is that something, I mean, in terms of people thinking that a lot of these decisions are politically driven, is that a pass that should be extended to you as well?
In terms of what?
Well, I mean, in terms of the things that you have gone through and having to step down and what you've been accused of doing and being taken out of your seat, would you like for people to recognize and see that maybe that contributed to, I don't want to call it, I'm going to say your decision, not your demise?
Look, that's why Melissa DeRosa wrote the book. If you look at the quote unquote complaints against me, it was all political. It was all political. In what theory do you have an attorney general who said she is open to running against me, have her do an investigation?
Letitia James. Letitia James. Now, what's funny about Letitia James is she was your protege. She wouldn't be the attorney general if you didn't back her, fundraise for her, endorse her. Right? Yes or no?
Yeah, but if you want loyalty in politics, Charlie, you get a dog, and then the dog bites you. But
that's for sure.
she had a pure conflict of interest. The law said she was supposed to pick an independent prosecutor to do it. The independent prosecutor she picks is a mortal enemy of mine, publicly, had investigated me for 6 years before. She does a report that says 11 complaints. There are only 2 cases, and they are baloney. It was all politics.
Well, I don't know. I find her to be a model of decorum and calmness and clear thinking. In fact, we have a little speech of hers.
We've got to stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale.
Well, thanks for that, Andrew.
Too male. Yeah, I guess I was guilty of that.
See, Karen and I were talking, and like what we thought about that, and she's like, "God, that's discriminatory." I said, "It's racist," and Karen and I grew up in the same era. We've always been taught this. Well, racism, you're a racist when you have power. And when you don't have power, it's discriminatory. But this is the ranking law enforcement officer of New York State. That's power. That's racist. And I don't know how we're going to get anywhere when, see what's going on? The Republican Party's dead. I mean, it's the rednecks who aren't listening to the golf club. And then all of a sudden you've got Talib over here. You've got people in Kentucky. You've got New York. Oh my God, man. So when is the Democratic Party going to splinter? Is it close?
Look, the Republican Party will splinter first, or it will defeat itself. Look at what the Republican Party has done. The position they took on abortion.
What Republican Party? There is no Republican Party.
Yeah. Well, what happened this past election day, they're still paying for the sin of electing a Supreme Court of liars who then reversed Roe v. Wade after they said they wouldn't in their nomination. And abortion is still an issue, and it's why they lost this past election. So I think there's a real schism there. I think there's also a schism on the Democratic side, but I don't think they are morally equivalent. You have an extreme left, there's no doubt about it, on the Democratic side. You have an extreme left that has frightened the moderates in the Democratic Party, because they're very powerful in a primary. And this cancel culture and hyper wokeness is the far left flexing its muscle, and you see all the Democrats fold like dominoes. But I think the Republicans have a worse problem than we have, but both problems are indicative of the split in the nation, and that's the real problem, Charlie, is you have a divide in this country like we have never seen before.
Well, let's tear it open and get it healed. We're broke. We're bleeding.
We're broken.
Okay, so Andrew Cuomo, former governor of New York. What are you doing for work these days?
I'm practicing law and doing some business, and I'm talking to guys like you.
What's this? It's this fucking Queen's Italian guy. I'm doing some business. I'm doing some business.
But wait a minute. I want to know what's the plan, or do you plan to return to politics? Do you miss it? What's the strategy?
You know what I miss, Karen? I did politics and government a little differently. We were chatting before we went on air. I really used government as an instrumentality to do big things and tangible things, right? We were the first state in the nation to pass marriage equality. We were the first state to pass $15 minimum wage. I built new airports, LaGuardia airports, new train stations.
When is LaGuardia going to get fixed? I'm always seeing guys leaning on shovels over there. Like, you know what I mean? Come on, guys.
Yeah. We'll get on a plane and come visit. It's all done. It's all new. It's finished.
LaGuardia is finished.
Finished. Beautiful. Award-winning.
It used to be a dump.
It's finished?
It's
when you're walking
finished.
down the gangplank, it can't be finished.
Charlie,
It's beautiful. Okay.
I'm telling you, it's finished. I built it. I finished it. It's done.
Now you're Robert Moses. Listen to this guy. That's a little New York. That's me and you on that.
I'll take a picture. I'll send it to you.
Now I'll come see you, okay, man?
All right.
I really appreciate you being here. Stay with us and watch. The legislature closed the yearly session early today. And for all of you, Senator Jim Runstead leaves a holiday bedtime story about Turks and Caicos. And, I think you all want to play it for your children. Andrew Cuomo, thank you, brother. Really, really appreciate you.
Thank you. Okay. Pleasure to be with you. Karen, pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Colleagues, as we part company, in all likelihood until the first of next year, I would like to leave you with a sweet, inspirational bedtime story that you can tell your kids and your grandkids over the holidays. With the coming cold months, this lovely story will warm the cockles of your hearts. It's a story about a Michigan legislator and a big-time owner of a law firm in Lansing. The lawyer said, well, if I could, I just want to let you know that our firm has a number of beautiful condominiums on the Turks and Caicos Islands. And I was just wondering if perhaps with your stressful job, maybe you and your wife and your kids would like to all stay free for a week or maybe 2 or 3 at one of our beautiful condominiums at the Turks and Caicos Island. You're offering me a week or several weeks stay at one of your condominiums at the Turks and Caicos Island? The attorney said, yes, sir, Mr. Legislator. The legislator stated, well, to take this free condominium would violate every single principle, undermine every ethical standard, and betray every honor bestowed on me by the voters to accept this free stay at a condominium at Turks and Caicos. The attorney paused for a moment and then responded, sir, I fully understand. I completely get it. But if you don't mind my asking, in the alternative, suppose instead of a free stay at one of our condominiums, I was to sell you outright one of our condominiums, not free, mind you, but sell you one for $1,000. The legislator paused, thought for a moment, and then said, you let me get this straight. You're offering to sell me one of your Turks and Caicos condominiums for $1,000? Not use free, but just sell for $1,000. Do I have that correct? The attorney said, yes, that's correct. The Michigan legislator responded, let me be crystal clear. In this situation you have just outlined, under those conditions you are offering, I'll take two of them. Now I'd like to thank the No BS NewsHour for some of the travel details related in my beautiful holiday bedtime story. Please feel free as you gather with your loved ones over the holidays to share this inspirational story with your kids and your grandkids. And so I bid you all adieu until again and wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Andrew, are you still there?
I love that. Yeah, St. Nicholas
Go home.
way about it, didn't he?
No, what? What were you going to say?
He had the St. Nicholas way about him, man. He had the best.
They did.
I'll let him know, brother.
What
All
a
right.
story.
Have a lovely weekend.
You too. No BS.
See you on.
Bye.
See you next Thursday.